Hey everyone. So, welcome to today's live session by Hotelier Excellence. And today's topic is self confidence. So, I'm guessing all of you have seen our update. And I even actually got a message from somebody saying, get started. So, I was wondering, I thought, seemed like it was a very popular one because people were actually waiting for this one to go up. So, here I am at the dot of 2 o'clock GMT as planned. And I'm hoping that today's session is really useful for everybody. So, I said in my update that I'm going to share some secrets about why I chose this topic. Because, Hotelier Excellence, we've been running these trainings for various hotels over the last couple of years for hotel teams. And most of the staff who would attend them would come up to me and my co-trainer and then come and tell us very secretly saying this stuff has been really amazing and we're so glad that you brought this to us because we've had so many trainings in the past, but the fact is that nobody teaches us about how to be confident with our guests, or nobody has taught us about how to be comfortable with dealing with issues, or nobody prepares us on what issues we should expect to have. So while we're all trained really well for revenue management, while we're all trained really well for check-ins, check-outs, and showing the hotel around, we're really trained well on how our product knowledge is, etc. We've really struggled with having to deal with all these different people who come to our hotels, and so thank you so much, for this. And this was the general feedback that they would come up to us and say. And on the other hand, when we would collect surveys or pre-session questions from people, the item that they ranked the highest, where they really struggled and suffered, was on self-confidence. And this is not to say that this is a general issue that everybody is always low on confidence all the time, but there are things that happen when an individual's confidence can be low or can get affected. And those are the things that we want to talk about today. So if you're watching this live, then give me a hi and tell me what you think of self-confidence in yourself. And if you're watching this later, then yeah, pop in a message and share your feedback. A quick comment to say, what is self-confidence to you? And has there been a time when you felt you've been affected by low self-confidence? I'm quite sure we all have, right? It's just that in a hotel environment, most hoteliers tend to think that we cannot admit it because it may seem that we're vulnerable, or it may come across as we're not delivering up to the standard that we're expected to deliver. So, so a lot of people don't really talk about it when they experience a low confidence state. One of the recent examples was one of the trainees, one of the students on our course. We were having a one-to-one session because that was part of what he is taking from on the program, and said that I'm really struggling. It's like I've been in the industry for years, and I've delivered very high results for every hotel that I've been with, and yet in my current job I'm just not able to get my owners to understand what needs to be done for reviving our business post COVID. And it's really hitting my self-confidence. It's like it's making me question myself, that has everything in the past that's been done, was it wrong? Or which one was right? Was that right, or was this right? Or I'm just thoroughly muddled. And it's happening, right? It's happening to somebody even in a leadership position. It happens to people in middle management. It happens to frontline staff. Most of the time, low self-confidence is an issue with a lot of the frontline staff, because they've got to deal. I call them the people in the firing line, So they've got to deal with the guests, they've got to serve, they've got to understand, you know, how to handle each of these different people. So when there are situations like there's a negative feedback, then obviously that individual's confidence is going to suffer. And not to say that it can't be recovered, but the fact is, in that time, it does take a hit. So while we're all different people and in different positions and different levels in a hotel environment, we all experience the same kind of issues. We all experience the same kind of feelings or emotions or states, depending on what's happening around us. So, what I wanted to talk about today was what are the triggers? What are your triggers? And what are the steps that one can take to recover from this quickly? Because these are common for everybody. So the triggers would be similar, and the result of that trigger would be similar. But the steps that you can take to recover will also be very, very similar to each of us, no matter which level in a hotel we're in. So trigger one, which is the usual trigger, is negative feedback. So when you've had negative feedback from someone, especially whether it's a guest or if it's your boss, right? The two critical people where negative feedback comes from is customers and your superiors. So that is one big trigger to hit somebody's self-confidence. And even though you may be confident in what you're doing, even though you know your hotel well, you know your service well, you know your product well, when there is a negative feedback, it does affect one's self-confidence. Yeah. What is another trigger? Another trigger could be how we were spoken to. So let's say that you've done everything right. You've gone, by the book, you've done everything perfectly well, but the guest is just, one of those kind of guests that is just never happy. And they speak to you really badly, right? So in that moment, you may believe that yes, you've done everything right, but when somebody speaks to you badly, that's another issue that comes about which hits somebody's self-confidence. Again, we don't see it on the surface all the time, but it does have an impact slightly deeper within. And the third one is where we feel that it's our personal responsibility to make sure that we make a difference and we're not able to do it. So, for example, again, the gentleman I was referring to who's taken our program and he's on our course, where in the past, in all his jobs, he's been able to deliver superlative results and, been able to increase the business of the hotel and, through various strategies. But this time, he's not able to go through and sort of connect with the owners. And for him, he takes it very personally. So a lot of times we take things personally where we say, I've always done this really, really well. And I'm not sure why now in this scenario, this person is not happy with what my deliverance is, or this individual has some different expectations. So that tends to lead to conflict and, as somebody who has to contribute and deliver on the job, you start feeling really low on your confidence, or at least it gets shaken up. So give me your feedback if you've gone through any of these, or if you had a different situation which is specific to you, where it's affected your confidence. Don't have to give details. I know this is a public forum, but do share whatever you can. It would be interesting for the rest of the people to also learn, how things happen, that they're not the only ones who struggle with it. So yeah. Now, steps. So steps to recover from these. So the first thing that one needs to remember, depending on the trigger, so if it is negative feedback, what can one do to recover from it from your own self-confidence perspective? So just remember that feedback, when it's negative, it's usually about either the service or the experience or the product. It's not about you. It's not about you as an individual. Yeah. So the feedback, if a guest is not happy and says, "Oh, my room was really trashy, and the food wasn't good, and whatever else," it's not about you, right? So it's just about feedback because that individual is not happy with their experience, and that's why they're complaining. So negative feedback should not result in low self-confidence in you if that has been one of your triggers. At the same time, the negative feedback needs to be used to think about what improvements can be made, which I'm sure as a hotel you have a process, or as a hotel team you have a process to how to make improvements from negative feedback. The other element, the second element, is someone speaks to you badly. Like, I'm taking the three top triggers, yeah? So someone's spoken to you really badly and it's affected your self-confidence because it makes you feel really low about yourself. Again, it's not about you because it's not you, but it's the individual who's doing the speaking in a bad way. So if it's a rude guest, we've all had rude guests, we've all had to deal with really, really rude people, right? I still remember when I was working in the corporate environment of the largest hotel company that I worked with, we had this one particular customer who was never, never, never happy with anything that was done by any of the hotels. He would travel, he would come back, and we would actually dread because we're like, oh my God, Mr. T has come back from his trip, and that's it. We know that we're going to get bombarded with one phone call and he's going to blast all of us. And it was common. It was like twice a week. It was a standard call that we all used to get. And he would call and say, "Yeah, I went to this hotel and this was," he would just go crazy. And all of us would be like shaking. We're like, we don't know how to handle this. We don't know how to handle this. And it was like affect our confidence level, saying, we can't deal with this. And one person in the office would always want to pass that phone call on to somebody else, and usually it would then land up at the VP's desk, and the VP would have to deal with that customer because we just didn't know how to. So the whole onslaught about how he would speak to us was just so strong that our confidence would be shaken, and I think we would need to use the rest of the day to recover. So again, when somebody's speaking to you badly, it's not about you, right? And the last one is about taking things personally. So if you've delivered on the job before, or if you're really good at one aspect of your job, and there's another aspect that you find you're not able to make as much of a breakthrough, it's not you. It's not you as a person. Okay? So you've got to know that if you're doing something really well, and if you've done one thing really well, that means you have the ability to do something really well. Okay? And when you have the ability to do something really well, that ability can be mapped over or transferred into other areas as well. Okay? So what can we do to recover? Coming back to first one is negative feedback, is you need to tell yourself that that feedback is not about me, but it's about the service, or if it's about the product. And yes, we're going to take steps to make improvements. Okay. Second one is when you've been spoken to really negatively, that again, if somebody's talking negatively or talking rudely, it's not about me, but it's generally that's how the individual is. But I don't need to shake about it. Yeah, I don't need to feel scared. And the third one is about taking things personally. So the last one, where I talked about mapping over your skills, is so one of the other attendees, in fact, that's a good example. One of the other attendees on our course was saying this, that she heads a group of hotels and her focus is front office. And she knows all the properties within her group really, really well. And, but she has trained front office managers to take on more jobs, etc. But she finds that when she has to work with her boss, that impacts her confidence, because she just feels that she just cannot connect with him, and he doesn't understand her, and all of those kind of things. And when she's not able to make that success, it affects her confidence. So she's very confident about the products, she's very confident about her skills. So how do we transfer these? So what would be the quickest way to transfer it is, one is to really know that what is it that I do well that makes me know my product. So this is in her example, and we can apply it in yours. What am I doing really well that has given me the result of knowing my product, knowing my hotel really, really well? Yeah. And what am I doing really well when I'm speaking to my teams, or whether when I'm leading or training my teams? What am I doing over there that's really, really good because it's giving a good result? So that they could be two or three different aspects. So let's say that I know my product really well because I've taken the time to study, I've taken the time to learn, and I've taken the time to understand. Yeah. I know my team is doing well because I'm patient with them, I teach them well, I train them well, I listen to them well, all of those kind of things. So those are the skills that I use to be able to do my job really well. Now, can we then take elements of these and apply it to the other situation where she's not confident? Which means, can we take things like the discipline of learning, the discipline of understanding, taking the time, and also the discipline of the patience to train her staff? So let's say we take these three qualities of time, discipline, patience, and apply that into the scenario when talking to the boss. How does it work differently? Okay, because confidence, yes, it's a state of mind, but it only happens when we've done something really well. Okay, we all become very self-confident because we've done something well, we've got acknowledged for it, and we realize that we've done a good job, and that's what builds our self-confidence. But it's not always that the same thing will apply in every situation. However, it's possible. So we're saying that we've done something well, and that's worked for us. Now we use the elements that we have used from there and apply it to a different scenario. Okay, are you guys getting it? Give me a thumbs up or a comment so we know that you're getting this. And obviously, if there are any questions, put those in as well so we can help you answer that. So 3 steps, the 3 triggers and the 3 steps. The first trigger being negative feedback, as we said, that happens to everybody, happens everywhere. It's not about you, so you don't have to take that personally. The second trigger is how we're spoken to by our guests. So when there's an onslaught by an unhappy customer or a boss who's upset, again, it's not about you, so we need to remember that trigger, it should not be a trigger for you. And the third one is about not being able to succeed in one particular aspect when you've already had success in a lot of different aspects on your job. So how do you take elements from that success and apply them into an area that you're not yet finding a breakthrough? Yeah. So understand, what I would suggest is make a list. Okay, so maybe make a list, take a notepad or a notebook, whatever you normally work with, and make a list. So 2 columns. Column 1 is aspects that you're high on self-confidence, so like in the example that I used, know my product really well, know my service really well, know my team really well, whatever it is. Okay, and on the second column, you can put down the areas that you're low on confidence, or you feel you need to build up your confidence, and then break it down. So areas where I'm really high on self-confidence, what are those aspects? What is my mindset about them? How do I think or feel about them? Yeah. And once you start breaking down the elements, it'll be much easier to know, when I'm conducting a show around, for example, if I'm conducting a show around for my hotel, I'm really confident because I know my product, right? But when I'm talking to my boss, I'm not confident because I don't know how that whole discussion is going to go. So there is something that you are doing as an individual when you're doing a show round that's giving you that confidence about your product. And there is something that is happening when you're talking to your boss that is affecting your confidence. Maybe it's unsurety, could be that you're fearful of how he's going to respond, or it could be that in the past you've not had a successful conversation with the boss, and so again in future you're scared to try it. Could be any of these elements, but a good way is to break it down into these two columns and list down all the different elements of where your confidence is high, where your confidence is low, and what is creating that high confidence for you. So this should be able to give you a lot more clarity on how you can build your own self-confidence, because it's going to be different for each individual. So guys, give me a thumbs up or give me a comment to know, for me to know that you're following, because the live is a great tool to use, but it just becomes very one way because I can't see you guys. So be good to know where you stand. And also I'm going to share a link in the text above this post. So if you feel that confidence is something that you struggle with in any specific aspect of your jobs, then do let me know, and we would be able to help you with something that's more specific to you. If there are aspects that are specific to you and you want to know more about, the self-confidence, it would really be help to know from you what specific situations that you face that trigger, these kind, because it happens to all of us, right? And there's no shame or guilt in admitting it. We're human beings and situations affect us. So how can we help you develop more strategies to remain self-confident, especially in the new normal? Because once we go back, our scenario, our landscape is going to be very different. And we're going to need more of these skills, especially more resilience in ourselves, more resilience to be able to remain confident or come back to being confident. It's like, we trip and fall, and how quickly can we stand up? It all depends on obviously how the fall is, but a lot of it is dependent on us, on how quickly we can stand up. So when we go back out there, we all know that we're going to need to develop a little more agility in our mental selves, to be able to take on different kind of jobs, to be able to have that flexibility in ourselves. And if we don't have the confidence, that flexibility will suffer. So how do we keep ourselves optimally at the high state of self-confidence to be able to carry on? And the more flexibility, the more multitasking we're able to do, the more our jobs will be appreciated, right? Because we also know that it's so uncertain out there. We don't know how travel is going to take place, but we want to keep preparing ourselves. We want to keep upgrading our skills to be prepared. And we can't work on any technical skills at the moment, but we can work on ourselves and our psychology. So if you guys like this and you'd like to learn more, because we run an entire module just on self-confidence, which helps you understand, especially in a hotel environment, how the whole self-confidence drama tends to play out in our hotels. So we run an entire module that you can take part in and study it and practice it while you have the time. So let me now put this link down. I'm sharing a Google form here. So if you could share your information, then we can send you stuff on this via email, and you can get access to this entire module in a self-learning format. But for that, give us your information, because otherwise we won't be able to get in touch with you. So give us your email, give us maybe whatever information you want to share specifically, and definitely this particular module that we do will definitely help. And of course, if you have other colleagues who you know have similar struggles and they could also benefit, please do share this with them, and that would be help, because we at Hotelier Excellence want to help as many people as we can, as many hoteliers as we can, to gear up for the new environment. So the more people we can benefit, the nicer it'll be for both sides. All right. So guys, thank you so much. I don't want to keep the sessions too long, but go back and do the little exercise, the 2-column exercise, and see how that works for you. And you have any questions, do pop by and drop them on our page or on the group. If you are not already on our private group, then please get yourselves there, because after some time the live sessions are going to start getting focused only on the group. We won't be doing them on the page anymore. We will be doing it for the people who are on the group in the community, because they're the ones who are going to be, focusing on sharing, focusing on learning, and they're going to come up with their specific situations that we will be able to then help with. So add yourself to the group, and definitely, we will work more with you over there. So thank you for your time, whoever's watching now, and if you're watching later, thank you as well. Keep sharing your comments and feedback, and we would love to see you soon. Take care. Bye.